I had 2 bites. It was awful. I lost the feeling in my tongue for a second. Yeah. I got it back. Popcorn helped. Yeah. It was like watermelon adjacent flavor. It was like they took a slice of bread and they introduced it to watermelon, but watermelon didn't get involved with the bread that much. Yeah. Yeah. That's all right. The lights get kind of bright.
I know.
Just
we
a
can't
little
see
bright.
anybody.
I know, it's kind of nice, actually. Tuning in, streaming too, so there's a couple of people online who are watching. All right, welcome back. We will do our guest speaker, and then we will do 5 more, and then we will go to Zymergy. I'm just running through the whole thing in my head right now. When we go on a search for guest speakers, we're always kind of cognizant of like what we want to do and what we want to say as a festival. Our second year, we get to make some choices about where we want to go, and I think that Ellie is someone who both represents somebody who cares a lot about animation, but also somebody who cares a lot about education. I've been thinking a lot about the topics that she'll discuss here today, and then afterwards, after the presentation, there'll be some Q&A as well.
And I'll be on the Zymergy.
Zymurgy, the Z one, the zombie one. Yeah. Oh, excellent. And I would say too, if you saw Ellie later at Zymergy, you could probably ask her some questions there. I'm sure she would be happy to answer. All right, so maybe without further ado, here is Ellie Nikoo, the head of PBS Wisconsin Animation. Did I get all of that right?
Yeah, I'm an animator. Yeah,
animator. Okay, the animator from PBS Wisconsin. Animator from PBS Wisconsin. All right.
Yeah, all right. Thank you. Right. It's so nice to be back here at UW-Stout. You folks hear me okay? I guess now? Okay, awesome. All right. So, hello, fellow animation enthusiasts. Today we're embarking on an exciting journey through the colorful world of creativity, and I'm thrilled to share some intriguing topics with you, so let's dive right in. There we go. So first up, I'll take you through my personal story of how I find my path to becoming an animator at PBS Wisconsin. It's a journey filled with twists and turns, and I can't wait to showcase some of my own projects along the way. Next, we will turn our attention to the important work being done to promote diversity and equity at PBS Wisconsin, from highlighting diverse voices to fostering an inclusive environment. We'll explore how embracing diversity enhances the quality and impact of our animations. So get ready for some behind-the-scenes insights into upcoming animations I'm working on at PBS Wisconsin as well. Then we'll explore the fascinating world of AI in creative fields. Whether you're wrestling with the ethical dilemmas, eager to experiment with AI-powered tools, or curious about its impact on storytelling, I'm here to share what I've learned and explore these questions together with you. And finally, let's discuss the process of landing your first job in animation. We'll delve into the essential skills that can help you stand out in this competitive field. And at the end, we will have time for Q&A. So this is your chance to dive deeper into any topics we've covered today or seek advice on anything animation related. So yeah, let's take a walk through my journey, starting as a young enthusiast in Iran, captivated by animation's magic, all the way to where I am now at PBS Wisconsin. So growing up, like many other in this field, I was fascinated by the magic of animation from an early age. Recently, while flipping through my diaries from my childhood, when I was going back to Iran, my home country, I stumbled upon some illustrations that transported me back to my 13-year-old self. It turns out I wanted to become a professor of animation so that I could immerse myself in the world of cartoon characters. However, the path to pursuing animation as a career wasn't always clear to me. During my college years, while studying physics, a pivotal moment came when my friends and I worked on making an animation to celebrate the World Year of Physics in 2005. The end result was far from perfect, but the thrill of being a part of this project sparked something within me, a realization that animation was where my true passion was. Following my heart, I began preparing for the entrance exam for the MFA program in animation, and I was accepted into the MFA in animation program at the University of Art in Tehran, Iran. Simultaneously, I started working in the 2D animation industry in Iran, honing my skills and immersing myself in the craft. My first job involved designing layouts and backgrounds for a 2D traditional animated TV series. And during this period, the animation process was not fully digitized, requiring drawing on paper and light tables. From there, I took on various roles, including a storyboarding artist, animator, illustrator, and teaching art and design courses in technical high schools. In 2014, my husband and I relocated to the US, where I had the opportunity to enroll in the MFA in Creative Technologies program at Virginia Tech. Here, I delved into the realm of 3D animation, focusing on developing workflows for creating 3D animations, and I learned how to create robust 3D rigs and animate characters in 3D environments. Additionally, I explored creative coding and generative art. While coding was not the focus of my studies or work, it provided me with a strong foundation for tackling technical aspects of animation, such as writing scripts, and working with node systems in applications like Maya and Toon Boom Harmony. After completing my studies, I found myself drawn to academia, where I began teaching. Despite my passion for teaching, I always felt a strong pull toward the hands-on aspect of animation. So to stay connected with the field, I actively sought out opportunities for involvement. One such endeavor was the Words Animation Project, where animators from different countries collaborated on creating a music video. And I had the privilege of collaborating with Mike Owens on this project. So let's watch the section of this music video that I animated.
Advocate, we can help each other grow now. Educate, give them strength with the know-how. Cultivate brotherhood, we can show how. Demonstrate, everyone will be woke now.
Yeah, it's short. Additionally, I participated in the 24-hour animation challenge. The prompt was food, fight, teleportation. So let's watch this one together as well. So I soon realized that these scattered attempts at making animation did not fully satisfy my artistic urges. Although teaching was rewarding, I yearned for more direct involvement in the world of art and animation. So I made the decision to shift gears once again. In the summer of 2022, I resigned from my academic position and began scouring for animation-related jobs. However, it became apparent that the search would take longer than what I anticipated, and I couldn't afford to remain without income. To bridge the gap, I took on a role as an order picker at a window-making company in Menominee, and while there, I had the pleasure of meeting some incredible individuals and working with pieces of wood and learning about various window types. Despite this temporary detour, I tried my best to remain optimistic and continued pursuing animation positions. And eventually, my persistence paid off, and I landed my dream job at PBS Wisconsin. This was a journey that's been filled with twists and turns, but one that has ultimately led me to where I am today, a place where I can bring my passion for animation to life each and every day. To wrap up this part of my journey, I would like to share a couple of illustrations I created for the Inktober Challenge last year, along with some that I'm currently working on for a book aimed at second graders taught at a Chicago Persian school. So the text that you see underneath each illustration, that's the prompt for that day of October. So the Inktober Challenge is an annual event that takes place every October, where artists of all skill levels participate by creating one ink drawing each day of the month. Each year, a prompt list is provided, which participants can use for inspiration, but many also choose to create based on their own themes. And I use the iPad application Procreate to create these digital illustrations. Perfect Your Persian is a book designed for second-generation Iranian children to help them learn to read and write Farsi or Persian. And the book will be taught in the Persian School of Chicago. This second-grade book features simple and concise lessons centered around an Iranian family living in the US and includes illustrations that support the text. So let's take a moment to talk about my current role at PBS Wisconsin and the work we are doing around diversity, equity, and inclusion. DEI are strategies that promote a fair environment where all individuals can thrive regardless of race, gender, age, or other characteristics. At PBS, we are deeply committed to reflecting values of diversity, equity, and inclusion, not only in the programs that we produce and the community events we host, but also within our workplace culture. We strive to foster a sense of community and belonging, ensuring all voices are heard and valued. Our initiatives include a book club focused on design and its impact on diverse groups, as well as regular brevity and wit meetings where employees discuss challenges such as creating inclusive metadata and understanding bias in AI tools. Now I'd like to share some insights into my projects, particularly focusing on the DEI aspect. I'm currently directing an episode of Wisconsin Life Animations called Moms Don't Cry, where we bring to life stories of ordinary Wisconsinites. The creative process involves thorough research and receiving feedback from the authors of the stories, ensuring authentic representation. For instance, Tequila Benton, the subject of this episode, provided invaluable feedback on aspects like the variety of skin tones in her family, which deeply enriched our portrayal. So I'm excited to share with you a work-in-progress animation featuring animatics, rough animation, and some partially colored scenes. The applications used in this project are Toon Boom Harmony and Storyboard Pro. So let's watch it together.
It's
rare thing to get a glimpse of yourself from the outside. All of your hard work, love, devotion, the sacrifices and sleepless nights, and think, I'm a pretty freaking awesome mom. Well, this is not one of those times. It's more like one of those occasions surrounded by half-folded baskets of clothes and piles of books and papers, screaming, will you kids just leave each other alone? Why? Why? Am I always stepping on Legos? That's it, go to bed. Everybody just go to bed. I forced a smile recalling that day. It was an overwhelming day, I said to my son. I was very sad. But you didn't cry, my little guy responded. Moms get mad a lot, but they don't cry. In that instance, I realized how my kids must have saw me. Have I failed to show my kids it's okay to display emotions in a constructive way? Surely I've cried in front of my kids, right? Well, when I was pregnant, I remember crying all the time. Those ASPCA commercials get me every time. But that was late at night, and I'm sure my daughter was sleeping. Maybe one of the times when the pain from my migraine reached a fever pitch. Probably not, since I prefer to hide in the bathroom. I tend to hide in the bathroom a lot, I think, when that uncomfortable emotional side of me starts taking over. Could that be why my kids refuse to allow me any privacy in the bathroom? Even if I'm on the toilet, they feel it's okay to burst in, mid-argument, forcing me to mediate from the porcelain throne. Locking the door doesn't help either. I see little tiny fingers underneath the door. They slide notes under there. Hear my son screaming, Mom, I know you're not using the bathroom. You have your phone, I can see it. Poo particles are getting all over your phone. They don't know that I'm Googling affirmations because everything that I know how to do is not working anymore. I'm replaying the last 14 years of my life trying to figure out what went wrong, and perhaps if I had cried more in front of their dad, he wouldn't have been so distant. He has told me on many occasions that he felt I was only open when I was crying and my guard was down. Thought that my kids have not seen me cry bothers me deeply. It bothers me as deeply as the constant tears that are ingrained on my shoulders that my mother cried on. I knew early on I didn't want to be emotional like that. I said I'd be a boulder like my grandmother, who I only ever saw shed a tear for my father's incarceration. Even when I saw her the last days of her life, laying in her hospital bed, she looked at me and smiled and motioned for me to come and sit next to her in the bed. I couldn't. I ran in the bathroom and cried, and I still regret that to this day. Moms do cry, I told my son. Like when you leave your Legos on the floor, and I step on them, or, especially, when your sister uses up all the data, yeah, I cry. No, you curse, Mom, you don't cry. Okay, note to self, stop cursing, at least out loud. Or perhaps the next time I'm in the bathroom and one of them slides a note under the door, I'll write a reply back that says, Mom is crying, do not disturb, and slide it back out to them, poo particles and all. Thank you.
Thank you, folks. Thank you so much. So in another animated series I worked on, Wisconsin Biographies, aimed at 8th graders, we cover notable figures like Electa Queenie, a Mohican educator. In this episode of Wisconsin Biographies, I took on the role of art director and character and background designer to share the story of Electa Queenie, an admired Mohican educator and Wisconsin's first public school teacher. The narrative begins with the displacement of her ancestors from the East and follows her legacy in what is now home of the Stockbridge-Munsee community band of Mohican Indians. So let's watch a snippet of this animation together.
The Stockbridge Mohican community was busy rebuilding. That summer, Electa started teaching in Statesburg. That made her, a Native woman, the first known person to teach public school in the area that became Wisconsin. Yes, the first. She taught reading, spelling, math, and public speaking to Native and non-Native students alike. Having a Native teacher at a school open to all students was an important sign of the Stockbridge Mohicans' generosity at work.
So communication and synchronizing feedback with our production timeline posed significant challenges. This project was particularly challenging yet rewarding because of our commitment to authentically representing the Mohican tribe. It was essential to involve the community right from the earliest stages of pre-production and not merely as an afterthought. We formed an advisory committee made up of tribe members whose continuous feedback was crucial for maintaining cultural integrity throughout our story. Receiving constant feedback from the advisory committee was invaluable in ensuring the accuracy and authenticity of the piece. For instance, the committee's input led us to adjust the beadwork designs and the portrayal of feathers in costumes to align with historical accuracy. Before their encounter with the Western culture, Mohicans did not use feathers in their outfit, a detail that we carefully incorporated. However, not all feedback could be acted upon due to technical constraints. For example, the committee suggested depicting more families in a scene where Mohican children were sent to schools in another city. Due to existing complexity of the animation with over 30 characters, we instead enhanced the emotional depth to convey the community's heartache more powerfully. This process underscored the importance of respectful and sensitive communication in portraying true stories. Having worked on the Electa Queenie project and seen firsthand the importance of accurately portraying cultural aspects of the Mohican community, I've been struck by how easily stereotypes can be reproduced by artificial intelligence. To highlight this, I would like to share a few prompts I entered into DALL-E and the images it generated, which will help illustrate the challenges and opportunities AI presents in safeguarding diversity and avoiding cultural misrepresentation. DALL-E is an AI program developed by OpenAI that generates images from textual description. So you can see my prompts and the generated images along with DALL-E's description on these slides. For my first prompt, I did not include the specific visuals, simply stated, draw Electa Queenie, the first teacher in Wisconsin who was Mohican and was born in 1798. The initial image served as a good starting point, so I continued with some visual descriptions and modifications. So I asked, incorporate traditional beadwork from the Stockbridge-Munsee band of Mohicans in her outfit. However, I noticed that the beads represented in the image do not accurately reflect those of the Stockbridge-Munsee band of Mohicans, based on the research I conducted for the Electa Queenie project. They were not even close. I didn't realize that it was probably too much to ask. Therefore, I shifted my focus to the facial features, which you can clearly see no longer represent Native American traits. Then I said, use the skin tone and the facial features from the first image, which you can see smaller over there. The most recent one resembles a white woman and not a Mohican. However, it appears you can't use textual description to replace elements of a scene because the face did not match the first image. Nevertheless, it did attempt to make the face look more Native American. So as a side note, DALL-E has a visual tool where you can mark parts of what you want to change, but I didn't use it for this experiment. As my final attempt, I asked again to revert to the exact same face from the first image and simply update the outfit, adding, "Don't use feathers." And here's the funny part. Suddenly, the woman appears older, the face still doesn't resemble the first image, and despite there being feathers in the image, DALL-E insists there are no feathers. With this particular AI image generator, DALL-E, the flaws in accurately translating prompts into visuals are evident. The beadwork in the generated images did not accurately represent that of stock bridge Mansi Mohicans. And despite the explicit instruction to exclude feathers, they were still included. Moreover, while attempting to maintain consistency in certain elements, the AI mistakenly attributed European white features to the faces instead of Mohican traits. This is not to discourage the use of AI-generated images, but to highlight the importance of human oversight and recognizing the biases present in the data these engines currently rely on. As we delve into the fascinating world of AI in creative fields, it's crucial to approach this technology with both curiosity and caution. AI is undoubtedly here to stay, and its implications for our industry are profound. Let's explore how you can actively prepare to harness AI as a powerful tool in your animation career. Understanding AI technologies. So start by familiarizing yourself with the AI technologies that are impacting creative industries, from generative AI tools that create images and animations to AI-driven scriptwriting and editing tools. Knowing what's out there is the first step. Online courses from platforms like Coursera or Udemy on AI basics can be great starting points. Ethical implications and bias awareness. AI tools can inadvertently reinforce stereotypes as evidenced by studies where AI-generated images of diverse groups were often cliched or oversimplified. It's vital to critically assess the data we input into these AI systems to prevent such biases. AI isn't just about technology. It involves significant ethical considerations, so engage with the resources that discuss the ethics of AI, such as Responsible Generative AI ebook that introduces the RAFT framework, reliable, accountable, fair, and transparent, as a guideline. It emphasizes understanding the potential risks of generative AI like toxicity, discrimination, and data privacy. The ebook offers practical strategies for addressing these risks and explains how to implement responsible AI practices. Understanding how to use AI responsibly ensures that your work remains not only innovative, but also respectful and inclusive. Practical applications and experimentation. So hands-on experience is invaluable. Experiment with AI tools like Adobe Sensei, Runway ML, or simple plugins in software like Blender or Maya that incorporate AI elements. This practical application will help you understand how AI can enhance or streamline workflows in animation. Remember, these tools offer incredible opportunities, but also bring new challenges. Fundamental principles like accuracy and transparency are crucial. Always verify the accuracy of AI outputs and clearly disclose when AI has been used in content creation. And stay updated. The AI landscape is constantly evolving. Follow relevant thought leaders on social media, join forums and online communities like those on Reddit or Stack Overflow, where new developments and tools are discussed. I highly recommend subscribing to newsletters such as AI Lemon to stay updated in the field. And integration into projects. As you work on class projects or personal endeavors, think about how AI can be integrated, whether it is automating mundane tasks to focus more on creative aspects or using AI to generate unique design elements. The practical integration of AI tool can prepare you for their professional use. Make sure the use of AI is allowed for deliverables and always disclose when AI has been used in content creation. In conclusion, as we navigate AI's role in creativity, we must consider its ethical implications carefully and strive for a balance that respects both innovation and human values. By embracing AI not just as a tool, but as an essential part of your creative and professional development, you will position yourself at the forefront of industry advancements. So let's continue to question, learn, and integrate AI responsibly into our creative process, ensuring we are not only creators, but also innovators in an AI-enhanced world. So in the essential skills to find the job section of this keynote, let's delve deeper into the skills and strategies you will need to navigate the competitive field of animation and secure your first job. Broadening your horizon in finding animation jobs. So the world of animations offers a variety of roles that go beyond traditional positions. While many aspire to become animators or animation directors, there are numerous high-demand jobs that you might not have considered. For instance, 2D and 3D motion designers are increasingly sought after in various industries, including advertising and video games. And additionally, a frequently overlooked role among artists is that of technical animators, also known as rigging artists. These professionals require a strong understanding of the technical aspects of animation combined with animation skills. So their work often involves scripting and programming to create efficient and functional rigs. Remember that certain roles like a storyboard artist, concept artists, and character designers are highly competitive. Moreover, these jobs are often project-based, meaning job security can be variable. And finally, if you're looking for remote positions, know that you're competing with talent across the entire US. To gauge the quality your portfolio should aim for, studying other students' portfolio from across the US can provide valuable insights and benchmarks. The power of adaptability and diversifying your skills. So in today's rapidly changing job market, being a generalist initially can be more beneficial than specializing early on. This approach allows you to adapt and pivot as opportunities arise or as market demand shifts. With the emergence of AI, the landscape is changing even faster, making it uncertain which specific fields will be most affected. By diversifying your skills, you prepare yourself to take advantage of new roles that AI technology may create, while ensuring your career remains resilient against potential disruptions. For example, animators who understand not only traditional animation techniques, but also software like Adobe After Effects or Blender are more versatile and attractive to employers. And similarly, having skills in adjacent areas like graphic design, UI and UX design, or even basic coding can open additional doors and provide a competitive edge. And networking. Networking begins in school. Your classmates today could be your colleagues or industry contacts tomorrow. Be a proactive team player and a leader who thinks of innovative ways to simplify tasks for your team. Moreover, mastering the art of giving and receiving constructive feedback is invaluable. This not only improves your work, but helps build lasting professional relationships. Enhancing your social skills is equally important. Being comfortable in uncomfortable situations, such as job interviews, can set you apart from other candidates. These soft skills are often as crucial as your technical abilities. And in summary, entering the animation industry requires a blend of technical expertise, continuous learning, effective networking, and adaptability. By expanding your skills and building strong professional relationships, you can navigate the competitive landscape and carve out a successful career in animation. As we have explored these diverse and dynamic topics together, I hope you're feeling inspired and ready to navigate your own creative path. Now let's dive into a conversation where we can discuss any of these subjects or other questions you might have. So let's begin our Q&A session. How dare you? I don't know. Honestly, that's a great question, and I kind of have that too. Like, don't think because I included AI in this presentation, it means like I'm all for it. I get a little bit cringy when I see AI generated stuff, especially when I don't notice it first, and then I realize it's AI. I'm like, how dare you deceive me like this? And yeah, but I think it's all about being flexible and agile because it's part of our jobs now. Like we can't just deny it and be like, oh, I hate AI, how dare you use it? Like, it's like just throwing stones at the sun. It's never gonna reach it, right? It's here to stay. So we have to learn how to use it like responsibly. How can we incorporate it into our workflow? Whenever you're focusing on a task, you should also think about, is this something that might disappear in a few years? So maybe I should just focus on a couple of things and not just be like, especially like concept art, now that I can think about it. Like nowadays, I don't think AI is there yet, but I think it's not far from where it is right now. So you can just give it a description and it just generates like a concept art, right? So those are the things that I don't have an answer to it. Like that cringe, I have it too, but I force myself to just be like, no, subscribe to that newsletter and just like be updated in the field because it's here. Like us denying it, it's not gonna make any difference. But the one thing that I'm very careful about is to use the tools that they don't jeopardize the works of well-known artists, that they put their work on the internet and now their work is used to train these image generating AI. Unless, for example, if you're using Adobe, I think that is safe because they are creating their own pool of data. But like, for example, I'm not sure about Midjourney. I didn't research that, but if I'm not sure, I'm not using it. Especially for like delivering something. I might use it for like creating like a color palette that I can use in some of my work, or like generating different ideas. What if this design was more cartoony? What if it was more realistic? Then you can just like get an instant idea and just look at it and just be inspired, right? So this is the capacity that I'm using it right now, but it is important to just get over that cringe and just think about it. I'm glad nobody's throwing tomatoes at me. Yes, Rory. That's a great question. So I think the starting point would be just to engage with it and just be updated. Like what I do is that on LinkedIn, whenever like I see a post that is about AI, I instantly follow that person, right? Even if there's like 1,000 comments beneath, like, no, this is wrong. I'm like, okay, this is good. I should follow it because it just like it steers up people. But just following those trends, and then I, for example, see a post about like a new tool that is being generated. There's an article. I just go read it. That could be, I think, the first step, or just like subscribing to a newsletter, following people who talk about AI to just, you know, stay in the know and just know what's new in this field, what's changing, right? And I think the next step would be to just be curious. You don't have to use it in your like actual work, implement it in the workflow right away, but just be curious. And if you open up your Photoshop and it's like, oh, you can do that, be like, let's give it a try, right? So just be curious and see what comes out of it and stay updated. Does it make sense? Does this answer your question? Okay. Yes, Dustin. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So to recap your question, you're asking about like if posting your work on social media is a good tool to just like get noticed. Is that what you're asking? Absolutely, yes. And I would suggest to keep your art profiles separated from your personal profiles, like a very distinct division, so that you don't post your like family or cat and beautiful dogs pictures on that account. It's just for design, it's just for art. And of course, LinkedIn, just like can't emphasize that enough. Like when I'm hiring for a position, even if they don't put their LinkedIn, if I'm interested in their portfolio, I look up their LinkedIn, because not only it shows like, you know, what you're posting and what you're following, it also shows that you're engaged and you're constantly working on something, right? So it's just like putting yourself out there and being engaged with what's beyond your reach of like, you know, your classmates and your professors. Yes, that's great, but like you're interested in expanding your networking and you're curious. I think that's the most important thing for me. If I see someone who's a student and their LinkedIn profile is active, I'm like, yes, good step on the door, professional, yeah. Does this answer your question? Does? Okay, awesome. Yes, Jacob. That's a good question. I think you would generally, I think the top hierarchy that is in my brain is to separate 2D from 3D. Not to say that, like, you know, it's negative if you have 3D work. It's absolutely positive depending on what company you're applying for and what the role is. But I think it's important that if you have like an animation reel, you separate 2D from 3D, unless you have, unless your reel becomes like 20 seconds combined, then put them together. But if you can make 30 seconds of each with good quality, I would say, like, you know, keep it separated. But also just keep all of it on your website. And like, you know, I think I was asked this question before that, oh, it's not like a paid website, we see ads and everything. It really doesn't matter at all, right? As long as it's a website, it's fine. And make sure that people don't have to do like more than 2-3 clicks to get to your content. I think that was the mistake that I made when I first developed my website, that you have to just dig deeper and deeper and deeper to get to something and then find your way back up. So don't make it like that. Make it like accessible and like, you know, the first level, second level, and that's it. So they can kind of like screen through everything, because normally people who are hiring for jobs, they don't spend more than like a minute to figure out like what your work is about. And if they have to spend a lot of time finding different pieces, they're gonna lose interest probably. Does this answer your question, Jacob? That is a very good question. I wanna say it depends on the type of motion design work that you do. So, so 2D and 3D motion design, they have like, they are roles that are not just in animation and game design, but the type of work that they are requiring in those companies are very different than what even I did for motion design. I took an online course on motion design, and because I love everything cute and cartoony, it was still cute and cartoony. So when I applied for jobs that were like geared toward like a product, and they wanted motion designs for companies, they had clients that wanted to promote like a product, I was not like, I wasn't competitive for those roles, because my stuff was like very character driven. So I think if you want to expand your horizon in motion design, I would suggest like taking an online workshop or whatever that is project based and it's focused on like clients, like they're promoting like a product. And this kind of expands your motion design portfolio a little bit more than what we tend to do as animation like enthusiasts. We want to tell a story, there needs to be a character, right? But yeah, depending on what type of motion design you do, it's a little bit, it could be different. Sure. Bring it on, more questions. Yes. Sorry, could you repeat your question? So you're asking, like, as a student, and you're graduating, how do you continue your learning process? Is that what you're asking? Okay, fantastic question. Yeah, that's a tough one. I think, like, you know, I'm gonna try to place myself, like, if I was just graduated, what would I do? I think, like, I would, of course, start applying for jobs, but based on the job types that you find and the skill sets that you see in the job description, I think you can focus on kind of like expanding your skill sets. And that's kind of what I did too. Like, you know, the reason that I went for motion design was that, like, you know, I saw it like in every job ad that I would just seek. It was like motion design, work with After Effects. And I was like, okay, probably I should learn that. So I think this is a good approach. Like, just go onto LinkedIn and Indeed and find the jobs that you're interested in and see the qualifications and see if you have them and what can you do to improve those. And there are a ton of like good online resources nowadays that you can probably just get some of them for free and some of them with like a, you know, some amount of money. You get to just like take an online course. I'm always like this because I'm not, if I'm not committed to like a deadline, I probably want to just do some other stuff, like just pet my cat and wash the dishes and do whatever, right? But when I'm enrolled in an online course and there's like a deadline, I'm supposed to turn in that assignments, I tend to just like commit to it. And sometimes the money that you pay, it's a very strong motivation. I know it is for me. If I paid that money, I have to deliver. So yeah, that could be like a good way of looking at it. Looking for jobs, reading the descriptions, and then just see what you can improve on. Does this answer your question? Yes, Zach. That's a good question, but a very difficult one to answer because it depends. It depends to the people that you're talking with, the companies they're working at, the type of people they are, if they want to answer you, if they don't want to, if there are some restrictions, they can't answer you, right? So I think one thing that is like a good advice, in my opinion, is that if you want to approach somebody, have like a text completed with like, you know, why you're approaching that person, what do you want to get out of them, and don't be vague about it, and don't be too general about it, and don't ask about like, you know, how is that thing in general, like be specific about what you're asking. For example, be like, I'm interested in storyboarding, and I'm looking for storyboarding positions. Do you think like any job opportunities are going to be available at your company? I'm interested. If you want me to, you know, you want to talk more about this, and you can send your resume along. But if they don't answer, don't be pushy and just go to the next person, right? Because in those cases, I think you have to just send a lot of messages and reach out to people, and you get some responses. Not everybody is going to respond. So don't be afraid, and as long as you're clear and professional in your approach, it really doesn't matter if you approach and they don't answer. You can just move on to the next person, right? Just keep, you know, throw a very big net, and something's gonna be like in that net at some point. Does this answer your question, Zach? Okay, awesome. Questions? Yes. Sorry, I'm gonna go to, don't tell me, you told me earlier. Actually, you didn't tell me. I knew your name, and now I forgot. Okay. Connor, yes. Connor, then Rory. Yes, Connor. Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't do that. Yeah. Or there would have been like tomatoes all over me. Yeah, no, I didn't do that. No, after the fact, as I was just thinking about AI and everything, and like, the research that I did for the Electa Queenie project, all the beadwork, all the little details that they commented on, like this is specific design, this is from 100 years before what you're depicting at this scene, so it has to be like more geometrical, and all of those details. I was just gonna test to see like how AI does, and what kind of scared me was the confidence that the AI kind of generates, like, here is the beadwork, as you suggested, there it is, completed, I did it so nicely, and then you're like, no. So don't be deceived by the confident response that you get from the AI. It can be deceiving. But yeah, I didn't use those for animation. Yeah, absolutely, Rory. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. And that's something that, boggled my mind when I was in the job market too. I was like, my portfolio, I know it's not attractive for these companies, but what should I do? Should I just like tear it apart, rebuild it from scratch? That's a good question. That's a tough one. I don't know. Like, if you have the capacity to kind of like create like a piece for a specific company that you're really passionate about, I would say I've done that. Like, I was passionate about like it was not like a very famous company, but I was fascinated by their work, and I did like a specific like 3D scene for them, wrote a cover letter, applied and everything, didn't hear a beep, right? So just consider the fact that this might be a situation, but I think I still learned from that experience, and I could include it in a portfolio, right? So maybe just think about, yes, I'm targeting this toward this specific company, but if they say no, it's not like it's not going to be good for anything else. I can still use it for something else. And I think it's tough and the suggestion that I have, like, like be a generalist. It doesn't mean that you don't have to, you should just like give equal attention to everything that you do in animation. Of course, your heart might belong to storyboarding or 2D animation, and that's absolutely fine. And if it shows in your portfolio, it's a strong point. But in many companies, when they want to hire someone like as a junior, who's not like, let's say they're not like a professional character designers, that they're going to be hired and they just do characters and write. And I think that's the case with like everybody who's just right out of school. You're going to get like entry level or just like one level above entry level jobs, right? So for those positions, being able to do more than one thing, that's a huge, that's a significant plus. Like when we wanted to hire for a position, for an internship, I remember that in the job description, we wanted to hire an illustrator, and we were like, oh, it's amazing if they can do 2D animation. If they can be storyboarding, we're super lucky. If they do 3D, we're just gonna explode, right? And then it happened, like we got applications that they had like amazing 3D work, amazing storyboarding, amazing illustration, and they could do animation. So we were, obviously, those were our choices, right? So I think it's important that you show the quality work, not just like any work, but quality work, but diversify it, and not kind of like limit yourself to just one company and like be competitive for just one narrow field. It just broadens your chances of getting that kind of like right out of school job. That makes sense. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So when I started working for PBS Wisconsin, I was still in Menominee. But then when I was getting hired, I specifically mentioned that I'm not going to be in the area, and they said it's okay. So I was lucky to get that remote job. But yeah, remote job, it has a lot of benefits, but it has a lot of negative sides to it. Like I was talking to Johnny as he picked me up from the airport, and I was saying, like, I feel like my social skills, they're like decreasing because I don't have to work with people face to face, and it's a little bit hard for me because it's challenging just being on my couch, working on my computer, not having to go out and just talk to people face to face. It's easier, right? So I feel like I'm getting a little bit softer, and I have to just push myself to just go out and grab people and talk to them. Of course, they're going to think I'm crazy, but yeah, I have to think about, think of something for that. But it has a lot of advantages too. I don't have to drive to work. I get to just nap for 15 minutes in the afternoons if I get to, and then I can just spend another 15 minutes working a little bit later. So I think I'm much more productive, but it also depends to the type of person that you are. Like people that are, they are at the end of the spectrum of being extrovert, and they get energy from being outside and talking and interacting to people. I think it's going to be extremely difficult for those people. But I'm kind of like a hermit in my shell, so I enjoy it a little bit more, I think. Does this answer your question? Oh, got it. So that's pretty smooth because of COVID. Like my coworkers, I think like 90, yeah, I guess all of them, they live in Madison, but they don't go into office. Like after COVID, everything kind of shifted online. So I don't feel like I'm left out that I'm not in Madison because they barely get to be in the office. And one thing that I like about this work culture at PBS Wisconsin is that it's kind of part of the culture that if you're in a Zoom meeting, you are supposed to turn on your video and chit chat, and it's like, it's not like very dry and like videos off and you just hear stuff. So I think in that sense, I'm lucky that I'm part of that culture, so that's good. And also keeping track of the tasks and everything. Like I said, everything is online, so we use Airtable for our task management. So when we start a task, when we end a task, like our managers can see what we're doing and when it's due. And we also like, have Slack for communication, and we use that a status icon to show like, I'm busy, don't bother me, or like, I'm open for like a chat or something, and you can just bug people and kind of like have those water cooler discussions with them over Slack. And I also have like some virtual lunches with some colleagues sometimes. But yeah, because everybody from the COVID era kind of shifted online, now the system is already in place, so it doesn't feel like there is, if you want to go to the office, it's more for just like see who's there and just saying hi and all of that. Does this answer your question? Okay. Yeah. I think it depends to the type of job. I think for animation and game design, it might become more and more common to just work remotely. Because for our jobs, like it's mostly on the computer, we don't have to do like, anything on the field. And the employers are also realizing like forcing people to just come to office, it's just not gonna make them very productive. So they are laxing a little bit on that rule as well. I know like, big companies like Amazon or Facebook, they're just putting this kind of notice that, oh, you have to come to office like at least 3 days a week, right? But I don't know, for animation companies, most of the jobs that I've seen, they are remote, but there are jobs that I've seen like, that are like in person. But I think we're gonna see more of that. And it makes it a little bit hard, honestly, because remote jobs are really hard to get because you're competing with the whole nation. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, folks. Yeah, thank you.
That's really well done. I don't get to use this one all that often. This is exciting for this one. Ellie, I have so many more questions for you too, I really do. Most of mine are AI related, but I have to go get some tomatoes and stuff that I'm gonna bring to that conversation. Yeah, that's right. Thanks again for Ellie for doing this. I think Nikos has told me we're right up to the minute here, so I think we're gonna roll right in with our second block of indie animations, and then we'll do awards, and then we will go over to Zymergy. I will also say that I'm going to have our assistant director, Cole, do the awards as I'm going to go to Zymergy and set up our screening. We have a big screen over there and a 4,000 lumen projector, which doesn't even seem possible, but it's going to be really, really bright. So please enjoy the next block of 5 short animations. And thanks again to Ellie for coming and having this really great conversation with us. Thank you so much.